Hey guys, welcome back to World Tanks with the Captain. I'm looking at the T-44-85, which is the new Tier 7 premium tank from the Soviet Union. Look at this guy. It's got the very similar front plate and look to the T-44. They haven't changed it too much, but the profile looks like it's been slightly different. If you load in the T-44, it looks like the plate is bigger and rides higher on the front. Looking at them. I also have the upgraded turret. I think the T-44-85 is also running with the first generation crappier turret. Just looking at it visually, we'll pop to the back. We'll see what the differences are in the back. It's got fuel tanks in different spots. So visually, not too different. Profile is a little bit smaller. The turret doesn't stick out quite as much in the back on the T-40-45 compared to its bigger brother. I say bigger just because it's better. Hit points. The T-44 has 1,300. Obviously, because it's a tier 8, it's going to have more. But let's look at another tier 7 here. The VK3002D has about 1,250. What else do I got in my garage here? 1,100 for the T20. The Panther, 1,300. So, hit point wise, we're not looking too terrible at 1,150. It's not great, but it's not a lot. Check out the powder weight ratio is 16.61. That's not fantastic. Yeah, that's kind of average. About 520 engine power in a 31-ton tank. You're going to feel okay mobility-wise, I think. You got a 51 speed limit, so you can be trucking along okay. 51's not too bad for a medium tank at all. 56 traverse speed is really fantastic, so as far as agility and your maneuverability goes, that's going to be really nice. You've got 75 hull armor, which is a fair bit of a step back from 90 in the real T-44. You've got 75 in the sides and 45 in the rear. So that part's the same. It looks like you're just dropping off a little bit on the hull armor. Your turret armor is going from 115, 90, 75. So that's a fair bit of a drop from 120 and 100, 100. So it looks like your turret takes a bit of a hit. It's not going to be quite as good from the side and the back, but 115 isn't too bad. It doesn't look like you have much of a gun matlet. Stuff will probably punch right through the front of that thing pretty good. It looks like the T-44, at least in the upgraded turret, it looks like it's a fair bit narrower. Yeah, a little bit taller maybe, but narrower. So, going to take a look at the turret traverse speed. We've got a turret traverse speed of 40, which is decent. That's not bad at all. And a view range of 370 and a signal range of 600. So, signal range, not fantastic. View range is pretty... It's okay. It's not super great. Like 370 is kind of, you know, like an M4. M4 has 370, so... Yeah, that's not exactly fantastic. Gonna load up the gun here. And this is going to be the rise or the fall of this tank, I think, for a lot of people. You're kind of getting the super Pershing end of the stick, but with more of a kick in the pants. You're got an 85mm gun with the rate of fire of about a KV-1 if you've ever driven the KV-1. So 12.5 is, yeah, it's okay. I would have liked it to be a little bit faster than that, but you get what you get. Your average penetration is 126, 167.43, so that's pretty weak for a Tier 7 tank. My A-43, the new Russian medium tank, has 125 penetration. So that's kind of iffy. 167 isn't really much to write home about either. Your average damage of 160, I mean, that's okay. You're still doing less than a T-34-85 though. I would have rather have had the T-34-85's gun on this tank than whatever this monstrosity is. This is not the strong part of this tank. Your accuracy is also bad at 0.42. Your aiming time is average at 2.3. And it doesn't look like any other tank shares this gun. This gun is a bespoke gun, so you can feel good in knowing that you have the ZIS 353, and no other tank will have it but you. So, yeah. I am going to load into some battles in this thing, and we'll be able to see how good it does. Will this tank be good? Will it suck? We'll find out soon. Alright, here we go. The T-44-85 is go. Looks like we got about 4.1 reload on this guy. I have a rammer. And I have a gun laying drive as well as a vertical stabilizer, which is quite nice. You gotta be careful in this map where you're never quite sure where the points are for where you're gonna drown. I don't know why these guys are camping at the back. If you have an opportunity to get up to this house where you got the holes in the window, you should do it. Otherwise, you get worked. So I'm up here now, and I'm going to have to try and hope that my team is going to help me. Alright. Uh-oh. Got shots coming in at me from the island. So, let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, my shot on the side of the IS-2 bounces, which really sucks. Let's see what kind of shots I got here. Managed to get a shot on the A-44's cupola because it's huge. Don't want to really expose too much of my tank because those guys on the island are going to blast me. So now it's just really me versus all these fellas. And this guy's just going to rush me. So here we go. I blow his tracks off. Put a shot into his side. That wasn't a very good shot, but... Alright, take out that guy. And before I can reload, I'm dead. So I got in a bit of an aggressive position there, but it didn't really help that I didn't have much support. It looks like the gun has trouble penetrating heavy tanks even from the side with 125 pen. The IS-2 being maybe not the best example of a tank you want to try and penetrate with this thing. We'll load in some footage here of another T-44-85 that's still alive. Okay, this guy's been camping, so that's why he's still alive. And this guy here is about to get rolled on by the IS-2 and get mob rushed, basically. Let's see how he does. So he attempts a side scrape, and that results in his doom. The IS-2 goes right through his armor and kills him. So we'll look at this T-44. He's the last bastion of defense. Look at his beautiful armor. You can see he's already taken a shot through the... Looks like there's a driver's hatch there. And one right through the front of his turret. So it looks like his armor hasn't stopped any of the shots on his tank. He does put one into the side of the A-44. That shot did go in on the A-44, but he doesn't seem to have very strong armor on his sides anyway, so that's not maybe an indicator of how powerful this gun is. Gets another shot into the side of that guy. Turret seems to be turning in fast enough for him to keep up. Oh. Bounced one shot there. Bounced another shot there. But those were shots from a T-49, so I mean, he's tier 7. He should be bouncing shots from a T-49. So we'll look back over at the last T-44-85 here. He has full health and he's running. You can see that mobility-wise, it trucks along on grass and stuff, doing about 50, so it can get up to its top speed, looks like. It looks like it's very good at running away. So we've got a T-44-85 battle on battle here. You can penetrate each other fairly easily, it looks like. That shot goes in, that one goes in. That goes in, that goes in. That goes in. That one bounced. That one tracks ate it. Bounced off the front. Right. So, first impressions of this tank are that the armor is not very good. The front plate will bounce stuff occasionally from tier 5 stuff, or if you angle it sort of well. 140 spotting damage for me, 447 spotting damage for me. That was tracking damage, and then another bit of spotting damage for that. Yeah, so only 245 experience for that, 445 damage. Obviously, I was right in front, so I was going to be the ones going to take the first amount of hits there. So didn't do a lot of damage. What else do we got? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this thing going up against IS-2s. The gun is a little bit too weak. Unless you're firing premium rounds, you're going to bounce off the sides and the front, and most parts of the IS-2 have 120 in the front, and the sides are sort of well armored. So looks like you can be competitive against the A44s, and you can see that the other guy, he was penetrating the A44 pretty easily. You can get through the weak points on the A44, it looks like. And it pretty much looks like a free-for-all of free penetration on this tank. I mean, I was able to penetrate and do... Actually, no. It looks like 3 of my shots went in on the T-44, but one of them was a tracking shot, and then one of them bounced off the side. And I hit his fuel tank. So, it's a bit of a hit and miss. I don't know. Let's load into another battle and see how it goes. In the last battle, I was fairly aggressive. In this one, I'm going to be a little bit more defensive. I'm going to have to try and flank guys because I don't have faith in this gun, basically. So, 126 pen means you're going to have to play this kind of as a light tank, I think. But we'll see here. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, I got a leopard. Woohoo! This is with a 100% crew, and across this ground, without many perks really, I'm doing about 39, 40. Mobility-wise, this thing doesn't feel too bad. I like how fast it traverses. That's one of the pluses that I like. I'm not firing any premium rounds. I'm going to see what I can do with this tank with its regular rounds. Because firing Prem rounds, which is mostly what seems to happen on here, is not a good way to get a good idea what this tank's about. And see what I can do. I can penetrate him for sure, but he dies too quickly for that to happen. Okay, so we've got a T-34-3 and a T-69 in the hill. I want to try and get help from the T-69. I'm going to try and go for this guy. Oh, I missed that shot there. The T-69. Oh, that shot went in. And come on, T-69. Get this sucker. Looks like I can outrun this guy. So that shot goes in, and I'm going to try and carousel this guy now. Alright, shot goes in. Shot goes in. That's right, Ruski. You're fighting a Canadian. It's like the Canada Cup all over again. Okay, so I was able to take a... Ouch! That jerk-off took my gun. But I was able to take out that Tier 8 tank with a little bit of help from that T-69. So if you can get in a situation where you're one-on-one, I have a little bit more faith in this guy. Okay, let's move up with that IS-3. I really do like the mobility. I'm going to swing around wide. I am not even going to bother shooting at the Ferdinand unless I could get back shot. That guy I could hit. Aiming time's a little bit too slow to get that snapshot off. So I take a hit from Mr. WZ. Alright, since we're here, because the gun depression is almost nil, if you're looking for a tank with great gun depression, stick to your Type 64 if you want one of the new tanks. What do we got? Where are you? Nope, there you are. Oh, I can only see his turret. Come here, buckaroo. Where are you? Come on, gun depression, fail. Alright, let's go for it. He's trying to run up here. Shot goes in. Alright. I thought I killed him there, but it looks like the IS-3 clipped him at the end. Ugh! One of those new tank destroyers just ended my face. Ouch! Oh, that was deeper water than I thought. Where did that go in? Right through my strongest armor. IS-3 just took a hit. We got our T-69 over here. Yeah. I like how strong the mobility is. Alright, so we've got this dude over here. I'm gonna go for a flank. I'm gonna be aggressive. Since he shot me, he deserves to die. Ouch! Oh, that was one of the auto-loading ones. I wasn't expecting him to reload that fast. Oh, maybe he isn't the auto-loading one. Either way, I got pegged twice there really quickly. There wasn't much for them to shoot at. Well, actually, no, there was quite a bit. Oh, and their, looks like their artillery piece was sitting there too. So I got pegged a lot in that last little burst there. I would have liked to have been able to get around that guy, but... yeah. A little bit more successful. I was a little bit carefree there. I mean, I'm on the test server. It doesn't really matter if I die as much. But, not very impressed with the gun depression. It seems like you're going to have to be really, really careful with this tank. The armor is not that good. Especially you're going to be running into some of these guys. They have no armor, but they have really nasty guns. Running around with, like, Tiger's guns. So I still think we're going to win this, but... yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this tank. It has decent mobility. I don't know. It's fast. Mobility's good. I feel it's kind of maybe going to be one of those tanks where the gun is going to be bad enough that you're going to, if you want to be effective against heavily armored stuff, like if you had 150 pen, you could be useful. because I find even when I use my VK 3002D, when I'm using the L70, I can still be useful. I can pen the side of stuff. If I really need to pen, I can load in Prem, and I'm at least at 200. With this tank, I'm only at like 160 something, and when you're going to be running into tanks that are heavily armored, it's not going to work. I have that same problem with the A43. I can only attack weakly armored targets or tank destroyers if I can get them alone, which is kind of like a light tank tactic. So I think if you treat the T-44-85 as more of a flanking, hard-attacking light tank, and just avoid the heavy tanks unless you can get them where they're heavily damaged, or can get them from behind, and hopefully your team is good, I think that's where the T-44-85 is going to excel. I don't think the armor is very fantastic. It seems like stuff goes through it pretty easy. It has the same values pretty much as like a Panther. I think the Panther is about 70 in the front as well. So you're not looking at super great armor. The gun is pretty weak. It's pretty much like an A43's gun if you're using the S54, which has 125 pen and it does crap damage. It only does 115 damage, so it's worse. But that's a tier 6 tank with a tier 5 gun. The T-44-85 seems to be a tier 7 tank with a borderline tier 5 gun. It's pretty much running around with a KV-1's gun. Yeah. I'm not sure if I would spend the money on that tank. I think if it was up to me, and I was going to spend the money, if I wanted a medium tank, I would probably get a Super Pershing before I'd get the T-44-85. But I mean, if you want a Soviet one, them's your options. This is the new one. So I'm not sure if it gets my ringing endorsement. Really taking a good hard think about this, and if it was my money, I'm really not sure. I don't think I'm sold on it because of the gun. I mean, if it had the T-34-85's gun, it had 145 pen and 180 damage, I could deal with that, but 125 pen it's a little bit too low for a tier 7 tank. I mean, you're going to get matchmaking that won't allow you into tier 9 games. That is a plus, but against KV-4, good luck. Like, you're never going to penetrate that thing with this tank. And you're going to be tier 7. People are going to be relying on you to be able to do stuff like that. And so looking at the battle results here, 28,000 credits. Not really fantastic. I didn't play that well, obviously. 444 experience. It is a defeat. So I did almost 900 damage in a mostly tier 8 game. In fact, almost all of those were tier 8s. So let's look at these stats. Potential hard damage received, almost 2,000. 900 damage in, hits received, every single hit I took penetrated. I mean, most of the hits I did receive were from tank destroyers, so I mean, those tanks all have 200-ish penetration, so those are all going to go in. So shots fired 8, 5 hits, and 5 penetrations. Those were pretty much, I waited until I could get side shots on that premium Chinese tank. So that's where this gun could be effective against fighting against other medium and light tanks and tank destroyers and artillery pieces. So if that's the kind of tank you like to play, a little bit more of a standoff tank that needs to wait for a game to develop and has awful gun depression and a pretty awful gun with mediocre armor, maybe this tank's for you. If you want to see what a T-44 really feels like, maybe just get the T-44. I'm not sure this tank is going to get my recommendation. I think the Type 64 that I just drove is a stronger tank for what it is for being a premium tank. It's better at being a light tank than it is. It's better at being what it is than what the T-44-85 is at being a medium tank. I feel the gun's a little bit too weak, and I don't know. Let's look at what are your other options for a Soviet medium premium tank. You've got heavy tank. Your only other option for a medium tank really is the Matilda 5, and that really isn't a medium tank. It feels more like a light heavy tank, and the Valentine 2 feels more like a light heavy tank as well. So unfortunately, you don't really have too many options here. I mean, you've got 2 tank destroyers there. You've got the IS-6. If you want a medium tank for the Russians, I suppose this is an option. I mean, how much does this thing cost? It shows the selling cost. It doesn't show the buying cost, unfortunately. I assume that this tank will probably be around the same price as the Panther M10, which was, what is the Panther M10? What do you cost, Mr. Panther? That thing costs 5,750 gold. I really cannot see spending over $40 in my currency on that tank. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I'm afraid the T-44-85 at the price that it would probably roll in at, which is probably around 5,000 to 6,000 gold, I just can't recommend it. I mean, even the Panther M10 has a gun that has 150 pen. I mean, it has lower alpha damage, but the penetration is everything. And the rate of fire is better on this gun. The accuracy is better. The aiming time is the same. You know, if I was going to get a tier 7 medium tank, I would get the Panther M10 before I would get the T-44-85. So everyone, if you were looking for a glowing review of the T-44-85, go watch Quickie Baby's review. He seemed to really like this tank. I can't really give it the same glowing review. I think the gun is inadequate and the armor isn't very good. So, sorry. I was expecting maybe to like this thing more than I wanted to, just because I like my T-44 quite a bit. But yeah, this isn't going to get a recommendation from me. Sorry.